Good morning, Year 7, and welcome to your second lesson on Animal Farm this week. Your title today is The Decline of Animalism, and your learning objective is to read and understand. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do is read the extracts from chapters 5 and 6 that are attached to this homework as a PDF document. It's quite a long bit of reading today, so you might like to ask an adult or an older sibling to help you to read this extract through. Alternatively, you might like to listen to the extract as well as reading it, and there are links to the audiobook attached to the homework. So I'd like you to pause the video here and go and do the reading. Okay. Now that you've read that part of the story, I'd like you to make this table in your book. It takes over a half of a page, leave yourself plenty of room. And on the left-hand side, you want a column that lists all the original principles of animalism, which of course represents socialism. So the first is all animals are equal. The second is that animals have the right to debate and vote, which is a representation of democracy. The third is that man is the enemy of all animals, which means you shouldn't work with man or trade with man or be like him in any way. The fourth is that no animal must ever live in the farmhouse. The animals looked round it and closed it so that it should be a museum. And finally, no animal must ever sleep in a bed. Pause the video here and make this table on the right hand side, putting how the ideal has changed. Okay, now that you've got this table ready to go, let's see if we can fill in this right hand column. So the first is that all animals are equal. And what I'd like you to put here is how the ideal has changed, and really to show how it would be ideal if you could use some evidence from the text, or at least explain your ideas really clearly. So my first one is that animals are equal. What are the signs that the animals are no longer equal? Well, one character has emerged to be more important, more dominating than any of the rest, and that would be Napoleon. I wonder, can you think of a moment in this extract where you saw Napoleon dominating the other animals, being totally in charge? Right at the beginning, Napoleon uses his guard dogs to control and dominate the other animals. And if I go back to the text, I can find the short quote, silent and terrified, and even the word platform, to show that Napoleon is in charge and that the other animals are actually afraid of him. Why not use this as your first example? Now, I'd like you to have a go finding evidence for the following 4 aspects of animalism. So, hopefully you've had a chance now to think about your other examples, and you've paused the video and gone to look for them. Let's go through some possible answers one at a time. If you've got a purple pen, you could mark the ones you've done with a tick and add to the ones you don't have. Okay, so let's do a bit of purple pen times. The first The first is this one. So we've got the animals have the right to debate and vote. There will be no more debates. Instead, there is a special committee of pigs. You might have also picked out that Napoleon presided over the special committee, or that he would be making the decisions. All of those show that the animals have lost the right to debate, because instead of taking the discussion themselves, it's all being done behind closed doors by these special committees. And notice that none of the other animals are invited, only the pigs. This is actually what we would call a dictatorship rather than a democracy. The next one is that man is the enemy of all animals. But what we find here is that Mr. Whymper, the solicitor, has been invited onto the farm lots of times. Or perhaps you found evidence that from now on, Animal Farm would engage in trade with neighbouring farms. And you would have read that Napoleon is in discussions with both of his neighbouring farmers. And the next one, no animal must ever live in the farmhouse. Well, perhaps you found the evidence that the pigs took up residence in the farmhouse. Residence actually means living there. Okay. And finally, we've got no animal must ever sleep in a bed. Did you find any evidence of that? Wow, you might have found the quote, slept in the beds, and the changed commandment, which used to read, no animals must sleep in a bed, but now it reads, no animal must sleep in a bed with sheets. Sneaky, sneaky. The pigs appear to be changing the commandments written on the barn door and adding words to change their meaning. So we're already getting a sense that animalism is in decline. Decline means a downward slope, and it's in decline because the pigs are abusing their power. It's important to note that all of these issues are caused by the abuse of power. And to abuse power means that the power you've been given to take care of something, in this case the farm, is being used for personal gain. We know that the pigs are eating all the apples, they're drinking all the milk, they're apparently now sleeping in the comfy beds, not stalls, and they're taking all the decisions. They're also not taking anyone else's opinions, and they're not interested in other people arguing with them in public, so they have these big scary dogs. So overall, the pigs are abusing their power for personal gain. This is ruining animalism, which was intended to free the animals. Remember, the very first principle of animalism is all animals are equal. And if one animal is abusing their power, that can no longer be the case. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.